Hi there. How are y'all doing? Good? Happy South by. I'm Eleanor Hawkins. I am author of Axios Communicators, and this is our last segment of this Savvy Consumer Talk. So please join me in welcoming a leader in this brand space, Bobbie Chief Brand Officer, Kim Chappell. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So it's a fun conversation because we're talking again about the savvy consumer, and it's how you appeal to them, how you find them, how you keep them. And so I want to talk to you about all of those things. First and foremost, like as a formula brand, what are you finding that your consumers really want and expect from Bobbie?
So, I think that fortunately for us, the legacy companies in our space were doing nothing to support the savvy customer. And we were really into the scene at the right time. We were able to be a disruptive brand in this space. And our customers don't necessarily trust formula companies. And we've seen that distrust even erode since our launch, where there was a nationwide formula shortage caused by a bacterial recall, where the shelves were empty all across the country for months and months. So they want to know what is in their formula. Is it safe? They want the details. They want transparency. They want to know who's behind this company. And they want a level of empathy with their experience that nobody was really offering at the time. So we met them as the only mom-founded and led company in this space in the US, right where they're at with our own experience, saying this is what we wish we could have known. This is the education that we wish we would have had. This is the surprise and delight that formula feeding parents deserve instead of feeling shame or stigma in that choice. And we were able to just operate from a place of authenticity of our own experience and meet them in their reality and really flip the script on what it means to become a formula subscriber for the first time.
And one of the things that you've mentioned to me in the past when we're talking about brand is how Bobbie is rooted in mission. And so every campaign that you guys do ties back to some sort of action. Can you talk through how you navigate that?
Yeah. So we have very clear lanes of what we want to stand for as a company. We stand for passing paid leave for all parents, not only for our team, but for our customer base. We stand for eradicating and educating on the maternal mortality crisis in this country that predominantly affects women of color. And we stand for feeding support for everyone, including breast cancer survivors who, under the Affordable Care Act, are able to get a free breast pump after having a double mastectomy and no insurance coverage to actually feed their babies. So we know our lanes and we ride hard for those, and we try to find celebrities who are, of course, feeding their babies Bobbie. That's step one. You have to be on the product to work with us. And then how do we use your platform, your resources, your voice, and come together and galvanize our shared communities around one of those issues. So we did that last year with Naomi Osaka, tennis player. She was coming back to work in the Australian Open 6 months after having her baby. She was returning to work just like all of us did and having to turn to formula. And so we worked together to try and pass paid leave. And we got, I think, 30,000 signatures and letters sent to lawmakers last year from our shared base. We were able to put out a full-page ad in the New York Times because we know lawmakers still read print. And we were able to really move the needle on that conversation to a Gen Z audience that maybe hadn't quite thought about the impact yet.
So you're finding that these savvy consumer bases really want to see that and want to engage in that sort of mission work?
Yeah, I think people want to know that their dollar's going to something more than just a transaction. We are not here to just sell powdered milk. We have a venture-backed company with a huge community of subscribers across the country, and we have a responsibility in a way to show up for parents and shift the culture in the right direction, and that's constantly what we're trying to do.
I want to zoom in on the how to find the consumer piece, because I feel like that's a struggle for marketers, it's a struggle for media, it's a struggle for communicators.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the importance of peer-to-peer recommendation aligned with influencer, aligned with celebrity. Like, how do these three things all work together?
There is nothing, as I go back to the beginning of the question of like, there's nothing more important in this industry than trust. And moms trust moms. If you can get into that word of mouth flywheel, you're going to take off. And so 60% of our growth at Bobbie, 65% actually recently, is organic growth. We are not paying for that customer. 30% of our new customers who come in did so because simply they heard it from a friend or a family member specifically. That's not a pediatrician, that's not an influencer, that's not a celebrity. So you have to stack those layers of trust. Will the mom go and refer? Will the celebrity be credible? Will she share an honest and authentic story that's going to actually connect with that teacher in Kansas? Are you also layering in the consideration with different influencers? Because we do trust influencers in the mom space. If they recommend a product that they're using to feed their baby every single day, you're touching this product 7 times a day, then you're going to trust it a little bit more. And we actually just started a really interesting new concept called our Bon Voyage box. So when you graduate from Bobbie and your baby turns a year old, you can opt in to get a discounted box to specifically gift to a friend now that we have that data. And 12% of our customers are actually taking that box, buying it specifically to gift to a friend who might need it, which I think is a really cool way to pay it forward.
That's really cool. So I also want to talk about just the need for information, the need for third-party validation, right? So it's one thing to hear it from your friend. It's another thing to see it on social media. But are you still finding that consumers are then looking for, media coverage, third-party validation, like they're still doing their research? And how does that fit into your strategy?
Absolutely. We have a persona at Bobbie, which is basically based off of our CEO, Laura Modi, and it's called the crazy researcher friend. And it's like, if you can win over the crazy researcher friend on the internet, you're going to help get them across the finish line with your product. So search looks different. I think this is the biggest thing that has changed for us in the past year. Moms, especially the younger moms that we're seeing come up, are not going to Google in the way that they used to. They're actually turning to TikTok and they're saying, what is the best baby formula, or this brand versus this brand? And if you're not proactively seeding that content and working to get ahead of that search and like using the SEM rush tools to actually plug and play those into different channels besides Google, then you're missing the boat. I also think that third-party links on Google, no one's reading the link anymore. Sorry, they are. They are reading Axios. But no one's reading like the third-party link in the same way that they used to deep dive. They're reading the Chat GPT or the Google summary of what they say about your brand. So how is that link working, doing the work to help you get plug and play into the AI of it all? And that is just, it's changing so fast, and we're just trying to like tread water on.
Yeah. How are you thinking about that? Like, for lack of a better phrase, like feeding the bots, right? Making sure that they have the right, accurate information about Bobbie, your brand, your offerings. Like, how do you navigate that as a marketer?
I think it's a multi-prong approach. We are constantly pitching our product to affiliate comms and reporters that are doing listicles and roundups and the good housekeepings of the world. We started a Reddit handle this year to get in the Reddit conversations and course correct any misinformation. Reddit is the scariest place on the internet to me. I cringe every time I go in. It's like the anonymous trolls, but you have to just sort of put on your big girl pants and go all the way in on it. We also created a website called Milk Drunk before we ever launched this company. We launched an editorial site for the brand, and now the domain authority for that site has risen in the ranks year over year over year. So we can publish an article we just did last week of Bobbie versus a different brand, and it's ranking number 2 now on Google and being crawled for that information. So I don't think there's a single shot in the dark answer to that. It's a multi-pronged approach of what positive media are you getting, what is Reddit saying, what is social saying, and then what product comms can you place and what earned media can you place on third-party channels.
And customer service, right? So how are you engaging on social beyond the Reddit threads and trolls and misinformation that might be there? How you're engaging with consumers? I think Bobbie first came on my radar because there was a response in a LinkedIn comment, a LinkedIn thread. So talk to me about how that customer service comes into play when it comes to brand awareness and brand building.
We treat every customer like an influencer, and I'm not just saying that. We will go above and beyond for you. You are feeding your baby this product. We know that there is nothing more important than making sure that you have a best-in-class experience. That can look like, one time I was on social duty, as we are in startups, in the early days of Bobbie, and I got a DM from a mom that was stuck in LaGuardia Airport. She ran out of formula because her flight was delayed, and it was the middle of the formula shortage. There was not a single can of formula in LaGuardia. And I was like, well, shit, we're going to have to get this mom some formula. So I texted the entire New York team. One of our team members, Natalia, was out to brunch. And I said, you need to get home from brunch. I need you to go get your Bobbie cans that you have in your pantry. And we Ubered those to that mom in Terminal 2 of LaGuardia. And I was live tracking with her. Was it scalable? Did it cost money? Of course, but it was absolutely worth it because we were able to give her peace of mind in that moment. And that's one of many, many, many stories that we've had like that. Truly, truly, I mean this from my heart. When you trust us to feed your baby, it is not something that we take lightly, and we really, really try to show up for our customers every way that we can.
Okay, so aside from that kind of like on the ground, sort of guerrilla marketing, peer to peer, you mentioned a lot of the celebrity partnerships that you've done. What makes those successful? Because those are quite the investment, right?
So I think there's a perception that we spend millions and millions of dollars on these celebrities, and it's actually not true. They come to us because they're feeding their baby this product, and they want to work with us, and it's so incredible to see. You know, the Naomi Osaka piece, we've worked with Tan France, Meghan Trainor, all of them chose Bobbie for their babies. And we really try to work with them one-on-one and say, what are you passionate about? What are the things that we can align on? How are we going to tell this story and peel back the layers so that people can see you as just a parent like them? And there's that universality of feeding a baby that we all go through. And it doesn't matter if you're a pop star or a famous tennis player. It's hard. And so how do we kind of unite the commonality that we have between customers and celebrities? And that's what we try to do. I can talk about Molly Baz if you want.
Yeah.
So we worked with Molly Baz when we found out, if you guys don't know her, she's an incredible mom. She's a chef, was the former editor of Bon Appetit. We found out that she was combo feeding her baby with Bobbie. That means she's breastfeeding and she's formula feeding. 70% of our customers were doing the same thing. We don't really talk about this enough because they like to have these feeding wars where it's you're either breastfeeding or you're formula feeding, and it's this archaic trope. It's not actually what's happening. So we decided to put Molly on a billboard, the first breastfeeding mom on a Times Square billboard. And we did that because that was her authentic journey. And the can of formula was like the sidebar to the story. And that drove a ton of traffic to our site and a great conversation around destigmatizing all the ways in which we choose to feed our babies. 1 in 5 moms is ashamed to feed their baby in public breastfeeding. That's not okay. So what can we do as a team of moms to help destigmatize that and move the needle on culture?
You mentioned you were founded by a mom.
Yes.
Your leadership team has many moms. Talk to us about the power of your CEO. I feel like you're always putting her out there. She's not shying away from the tough conversations. Like where do executives fit into the larger brand piece?
They are the larger brand piece. We are the only mom-founded and led formula company in the U.S. It is core to our DNA. Laura just had her 4th baby, and she was also just named one of Time's Women of the Year. Why? Because she continuously shows up for parents and pushes through any barrier that's put in front of her. I mean, this is a woman who fundraised her first round when she was pregnant, was told no 64 times before she got a yes on her funding. And she lives in DC. She used to work at Airbnb. So she has this really deep connection with brand purpose. And she will read a TikTok and she'll send it to me. And she'll be like, what are we doing about this? She's the type of CEO that's in the weeds in the very, very best way because she cares so much about our customer experience because she is also living and breathing that with her 4th baby.
We're getting close on time. I have 2 quick questions for
Okay.
you. So we'll kind of do rapid speeds. What is like a dream partnership for you?
Like a celebrity partnership?
Sure.
I think it would be really fun to work with someone like Cardi B. I think she's just a hoot, and I think she's funny, and I think we could do some really fabulous work together.
Okay, we'll put it out in the universe. We like to always end on one fun thing, and it seems like, well, I know, like from talking to you, storytelling is really kind of at the center of how you think about your brand, and that kind of harks back to your former life as a journalist. You were a local news reporter before jumping into communications and marketing. You mentioned to me that you reported kind of all over the world, small towns, smallest town, most obscure town. Where were you
joke
located?
that I'm a recovering reporter who has interviewed everyone from presidents to meth heads. So nothing scares me. I can handle it. But I did that for 10 years before the last 8 years in comms and marketing. And I really do feel like when I got this job at Bobbie, I was the third hire. I built my desk in Laura's basement 5 years ago, and so it's just wild to be on the stage at Axios. But I feel so grateful for the experience of reporting, because every single day you are building that muscle of how do I connect with people? How do I meet a tight deadline? What is the story I'm trying to get to? What are the facts? There's two sides to every story. And all of that I didn't realize made me build a marketing and brand team from the ground up in a really different way, where we are content creators, we are storytellers, and everything goes back to what is the experience of our customer and how are we sharing their story. So I do joke that I run brand kind of like a newsroom because I can't help myself, but so far it's working.
Smallest market, most interesting market that you've served?
Oh man, I had to do 2 years in South Bend, Indiana, and that was really brutal. I mean, there was like lake effect snow, and I'm from Atlanta, so I was not prepared for that. It was pretty rough.
Well, I feel like we could keep going, but that is all the time we have.
Thank
you so much for being here, Kim. We will take a break. We have more programming coming up later on this evening. Thank you so much for being here. Follow along at Axios.com for all of our reporting, and enjoy the rest of your South by.
Thank you.
Thank you.